told ChatGPT what I wanted to do. I wanted to here's the state of things. Here's what I wanted to do. Here's what I wanted to create. Here's how I wanted you to give me what I wanted. And there were probably a few other things in there. This is who I wanted to model. This is what this is the end goal. Um, yeah. So here's what I'm using now, and it spit it out. I said, all right, here's the output. You have too many tools. Here's the fix. Let's use Chat GPT. Me, of course, it picked me to use the tool, the program, if you will, and use everything else as a one-off or to just bounce things off of, but keep a singular tool for your task. Makes sense, right? Declare the intention and focus on the singleness of purpose. And it gave me, we're going to create the GPT. The secondary one was going to be Claude, but we'll get to that in a second and how I was like, okay, let me reevaluate that. Um, and therefore, at the end of the day, you can actually use this video to do this yourself. But it said never to mix more than two for your main work. Everything else, Grok, Gemini, Random GPTs, Perplexity Poe, Gemini, Manus, they're noise unless you need them for something hyper specific. And there are a couple other ones, but I told it, here's what my North Star is: hit $1 million business using YouTube as the engine, because YouTube, I have realized, is more and more evergreen. May take a little bit longer to build up some momentum, but at the end of the day, it's not here and gone like it is on X, Facebook, Instagram. Um, even, I mean, TikTok is may have some staying power, but they're more short form videos, and the idea is to create some long form content because the competition for long form content isn't quite as heavy as it is for the 10, 15, 7-minute videos. And so whenever I sit down at my desk, yeah, I've one filter. Does this help me hit my $1 million intention of creating content through YouTube to drive traffic to the challenge, and then to the premium? This time isn't money intensive. The answer is no. It's a distraction. So here, the content direction was already pretty clear. Time isn't money. That's about creating leverage, because if you're just spending time for money, and you'll never have any leverage. It's all non-linear. And God wanted us to be exponential, because be fruitful. Fruitful in and of itself is exponential. We can count the number of seeds in an apple, right? But we can't count the number of trees in an apple seed. So it's be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, fulfill it, and have dominion. And so all of these things are non-linear, and that's what God's purpose for us is. And it's all built around Genesis. And so the building products from God given gifts, our experiences, our setbacks, our trials, our skills, our wisdom, they're all meant to not only teach and help us get to where we be, but and to fulfill our purpose, but at the end of the day, to help create and perhaps help other folks do and go through, help them go through uh, the things that we've already been through. And it's all based on a lot of the things that are in the Bible, because the more and more I read it, the more I realize that there's so much to uncover in there, that it's just the manual, right? It's the book. Uh, and personal transformation and wisdom, it's from my lens. It's from the Gen X lens. It's from the self-reliant lens. I mean, we grew up drinking from a water hose, riding bikes without helmets, spending all day on our own downtown riding bikes, and just, you know, being self-sufficient. Um, and it's the documentation of this journey to $1 million business or not. You know, in any case, you can learn at least something if you're watching. But we're gonna build one core system. It's the $1 million content engine, and using this GPT, we're gonna use it to capture ideas, create scripts, the recording process, and the content and driving traffic to this challenge. And so a lot of the content that I get inspired by, you know, I can name Myron Golden, I can name Danco, uh, Dan Martell is another cool one. I don't watch him as much, but there's all kinds of other stuff too. I mean, I can get inspired by just watching guys cook. Uh, uh, d- Poker is another one. Just I'll watch poker and it's like, man, it's a puzzle. Poker is a puzzle. Golf is a puzzle. Um, and I'll watch some golf videos and think, all right, you know, if I can get through that and get that fixed and get this failure. And this time of the year, it's about figuring out things that don't work as much as it is what does work. In the wintertime, you're going to be driving in fear if you don't know at what point you're going to have the wheels come out from under you. And what I mean by that, if I've seen that it's snowing and I'm on and the road I think is slippery, I'm going to go up to a certain speed and then just slam on the brakes and see what I get. If I start slipping and sliding, I know I need to back off because it's not safe. But if I come to a pretty good halt, then I know, all right, I can go a little quicker and not worry about it. And that's why whenever we were growing up learning how to drive, there was the school bus parking lot, man. We'd just, you know, cut it loose, man, go whipping around and just have the back end slide out from under out from under us because it was four-wheel drive, and we figure out, all right, hey, you know, you got to turn the wheel this way and that way, and just let it get out, almost get away, or see at what point it got away from you where you did a complete spin around, because then you can know how far you can push it safely and get away with it, and at the same time, keep it within control. So that's the whole idea with this is figure out what's going to work, what isn't going to work, um, and come up with the ideas, the transcripts, the conversations, the principles for leverage. Because with time, just trading time for money, it's just all nonlinear. And if I already said that, so be it, because I'm going to repeat it again. You're going to hear me say it again, because income follows assets. And if the only asset you have is your time and your muscles, it's going to be so limited in what you can accomplish. So we're going to use it to also create scripts, the title, the rough angles and reference materials. Um, I'm going to but then I'm going to make sure it gives me at least a pretty good outline, some hook variations to make sure I can capture an audience, um, and then thumbnails. Thumbnails are going to be whether I use Chat GPT or something else for thumbnail creation. There's another one, vidIQ is pretty good, but it's going to give me the recording process and at the end of the day the whole offer. And so, you know, I can have it create my offer. It's going to have me bounce things off of some other experts that have already proven themselves successful in this arena, like Myron, like Russell Brunson, the whole the whole secrets trilogy, expertsecrets.com, secrets, traffic secrets. Alex Hormozy's a genius. I mean, I candidly, I'm not a fan of his brand, but you got to be a fan of his content. And what I mean by that, the whole nose strip, beard, ball hat, wife beater, flannel shirt, cut off jeans, and Crocs just doesn't cut it for me, man. I'm not going to even apologize for it. I mean, I guess it's for some people, but I just can't take it. So I'll just take his content and use it. But in that in the Bible, can I can I reference something in the Bible and use it? And so we're going to then take and come up with a weekly game plan. Use the GPT as a weekly game plan, and handling the random questions. We're going to spit that off to somewhere else. And what I should do right now is create that North Star. Make sure the offer ladders in place, the content pillars are in place, and we're going to go from there. And it's going to give me a blueprint. It gave me the personal brand. It gives me the North Star, the build a personal brand on YouTube that drives consistent traffic into the 5-day time isn't money challenge, which naturally sends people into the coaching offer. That's the mission. Everything revolves around that. And the brand isn't tactics. It's going to be built around the idea that, I'm a Gen X guy, it seems as though I'm reinventing myself every few years. Most recently from the insurance business, from that telecommunications, from that sales, from that um, an engineering degree in college, and and but rooting it back at this point all into a foundation from the Bible, and it's going to be just straightforward, practical. Um, the sales background on top of all of the uh, I want to say misfortune, but let's just put it in the way of events. Um, Busting up a knee. Yeah, I said knee, but I've had, when I was younger, I had 5 knee surgeries. I've had cancer. I blew my Achilles out. Uh, what else? I mean, divorce. Um, I mean, whatever, it's life. What can you learn from life? What perspective can you take from this? What can you learn from this? What can you pass on? Someone who's actually, uh, taking and going through the fitness and getting in shape and doing yoga and playing golf and fighting all the aches and pains that there is and taking cold showers. And so, but then going from just you know a day's worth of money for a hard day's work, right, to leveraging it and creating those assets, creating value. God-given gifts are the source of a calling. If you've got that calling in the back of your head, man, is this all there is? Man, hey, you could do this. Hey, you could do that. And taming those ideas and getting them singularly focused and creating an income from that, and using that wisdom instead of just hustle. I mean, there's going to be some hustle at the beginning, but if that's all it is, and if it's just a grind and there's no leverage, it's silly. And you're just spinning your wheels, and you might as well just go hit the 9 to 5, and then you can go and in the winter do the bowling or the golf simulator. And so this all is going to be aligned around the biblically aligned business teaching for who are most likely Gen Xers who want leverage and not hustle, and want to take some of the wisdom and perspective and skills that they've acquired over the years and help folks do it with them. So here are the 5 pillars. Time isn't money. Turn your gifts into IP based products, um, intellectual property. For me, it's rooted in the Bible for wealth, work, and calling, documenting the journey and the stories, lessons, and hard-won wisdom, um, particularly in sales. From telemarketing in college to selling cars to selling insurance to business consulting service, hearing aid sweepers, uh, telephone systems, telephone service, internet services, insurance of any and every form. And what we're going to mainly do is make sure at least one long form content a week gets produced, and everything then points to the challenge. And the primary call to action is join us in this time is money challenge, 5 days to break free from time to money trap. And so here's the offer, and we'll get to that. Um, should you go ahead and take a part of the challenge, but I just built it out. Here's what we're going to cover. Here's what it's going to help me create. It's going to help me create the personal brand ecosystem. And it's a simplified schedule. It gives me the schedule. Here's the tentative schedule for what we need to do each week. And here's the AI system. It's the primary tool is it's suggesting is Chat GPT. But with that in mind, we're gonna bounce it off of another one to see if there's one better. Therefore, make sure that what we're doing is getting and squeezing the maximum juice out of the efforts and making sure that the Bible integration is built in. And to activate all this, we're going to create a content engine and an idea bank. And, um, and there's a couple other things. And I just wanted to make sure, hey, so, is the information that I'm going to access, um, how am I going to see it? Am I going to have it in a notebook? So I can print it and have it look at it, or um, can I keep it, hard copy? But it's all saved. There's a PDF version. It can create it in Notion if I wanted to do that. But it'll give me a one-page visual. And before it says, um, just wanted to confirm one thing. Do I want it exactly as it is? And I was like, you know what? For the sake of getting it done, let's take it as it is. And it gave me the blueprint, and here it is. And if I just click on it, uh, yeah, it already gave it to me. So if I bring that up, I'm going to do, that's a system prompt. Here's a, here it is. All right, so if I just bring it up. Come on. Yeah, here it is. Let's see if it just brings it up first, or if I've got it on the. Okay, so basically it's just everything it just gave me in that as I scrolled through so I can reference it and print it out and take a look at it. So now here's what was all involved for the GPT. And so if I go and let me see what I'm sharing. Oh, I hear. I know I know what I did before. Let's see. Here's what I want to share. I want to share the window because I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that it says, all right, we need to create system instructions, how it behaves, how it thinks, how it writes, what it focuses on. And that's going to give us certain outputs, which are the workflows and tools, what it actually does for you, the scripts, the hooks, the brainstorming, the editing. But on top of that, it needs to know, all right, am I going to search the entire internet for what I'm pulling these intentions from? Or is it going to be based on a specific set of ideas? And those ideas are the knowledge base. And the knowledge base is the content that I create, where I get it from, whose ideas I'm fond of, and who I'm relating with to give you those ideas, the offers, the challenges, the philosophy. It's going to pull from that knowledge base, and it can expand as it goes. But it's not going to be it's not going to be the entire universe of of content, because if it gets too much information, it gets too diluted and too crazy and too squirrely. So we're going to narrow the focus of the pool of information that it's going to draw from, and then it's going to give us the workflows and the tools. All right, this is what we're going to use to create the offers, the scripts, the tools, in the content in itself. And the name I came up with it, and it helped me create it. I mean, It's pretty simple. The David's $1 Million Content Engine. And here are the instructions. And so whenever what we do is we just take these instructions right here and we just copy them. It just says copy and paste. Copy these instructions. So I just took all the instructions that we just kind of went over all through. And it says, all right, here's the rules, here's the challenge, here's your role. And we're going to take those, and how we do it. This is exactly how we do it. So we just go to ChatGPT, go up to library. No, that's not what I want. There's some goofy pictures up in there. Oh, here we go up here. So we go up to explore. Here are GPTs. Discover and create custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extra knowledge, and any combination of skills. And so what we do is we just then come up to the create button. And so since I've already done it, I'm just going to show you. Here's my $1 Million Content Engine. And then we take those instructions and by clicking on it, I just went into the GPT itself. But what I really wanted to do, just to kind of give you an idea, my GPTs, you wanted to go and hit edit. So if I just go in this one, darn it. Oh, so it's already starting one. So it's just in a draft. So what I do is I would just create, and it's going to pull this screen up. And what I would do is then I would just paste those instructions right in here. And to expand that screen, we just click on that arrow right there and paste those instructions into there. Those instructions. And then what it wants us to do is have that knowledge base. And the knowledge base is a separate document. And in that, what we're going to do is they're going to upload files. And so we're going to just create a PDF. And how I did it was I just created a Google Doc. And here's the knowledge base. And it just says, all right, here's the knowledge base of, what we're going to be working on. And I can expand this and go through it. And it's going to say, all right, we're going to pull from the Bible. We're going to pull from, golf, Penn State stuff, wrestling, football, time isn't money, challenging the whole school system of, if you ever make a mistake, you get an F. Assets, income follows assets, and all of this other stuff in that. All right, we're going to make sure things are long form on the content side. We're going to have a weekly flow. And like I said, we can expand this in this Google Doc. It's going to, what I do is just take it and hit print PDF and save it as a PDF right there. And then upload it as the file into the GPT. And then the next one, so here's the knowledge base. And then it's going to give us a workflow pasted to capabilities if needed or keep in a doc. And so these are the workflows. It's going to say, all right, this is what we want to build on a daily basis or a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And I said, all right, this is going to be pretty much good because it wanted to do a test. I said, all right, let's make sure that we're not making things too specific. And what I meant by that is I don't necessarily mean this is for just Gen Xers. It doesn't have to be. It's going to be for people who want to solve the problem that time isn't money, or are stuck to time is money, and feeling trapped that working harder solves a problem. And what I mean by that too is if I'm chopping wood with a dull axe, chopping harder isn't going to help. If I'm trying to get out of of a house through a locked door, me turning the handle isn't going to help getting out of the house any sooner. It's going to be about finding smarter ways to do things, sharpening the axe, looking for another way out. Um, and here's some other things too that it built in. IP is intellectual property is stewardship. I mean, that was kind of, I needed to get some clarification on that. And I wanted to make sure that stories were part of this, in that um, people learn by stories. But because whenever this spit this out, it was all just, hey, let's do this, this, and this. But I wasn't happy with that because I wanted to make sure that people could relate through the stories that I had. And I wanted it to make sure that it reminded me, but I didn't want them to be too long. So I wanted to make sure that they were built in. And here were the summary of the edits that it created. And so it said, let's get back to this. And I want to make sure I created a video about this whole process. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just creating the video because it was intriguing to me and I thought someone else could benefit from it. So the whole core purpose was of the engine. I clarified the audience, but I didn't want to be limited to Gen Xers. Therefore, I just wanted to make sure it was it was solving a problem. It was, you're going to get this by if you watch this. Here are the content creation rules. And it was going to include the stories of everything that I've already mentioned, fitness, sales, overcoming challenges, leaning on the Bibles and the stories and all that, and making sure that it used certain frameworks um, that kept attention, and it was outcome driven. You'll get solutions to creating assets based on your past experiences, skills, and perspectives. So you can have a little bit more of a leveraged life and do the things that you wanted to do because even though, some of the inflation is out of control, and I didn't want it to have any cheesy stuff in here like fluff or filler and icons, um, or gimmicks like certain people, like I already mentioned, and have the viewpoints and the philosophy. And here were the workflows. And this was another document that I wanted to make sure it had, uh, and making sure that these are the things that I spoke into the chat GPT. I just spoke my directions in there. This isn't me typing. I spoke this. I used this icon right here and just talked to it to give it the directions that I wanted. And I made notes as far as, all right, here's where we're going to go with stories. Here's where we're going to go with this shorts. Assets compound. I wanted to build on that, and it wanted to give me the final GPT based on all that. Give it to me however it will be easiest to create, perhaps a section at a time, and I wanted it to be step by step. I didn't want it to be one big block of text. So it gave it to me in the instructions, um, the frameworks. So I did that. I created the document. Here's section 2. Here's the knowledge base. It seems this should be done. Copy and did a PDF. It did it, and here's the thing. I did the PDFs, it was a couple more of a steps, and every time I wanted to edit a PDF, I'd have to edit the Google Doc, but then turn around and save it as the new PDF, delete the old PDF, and upload the new PDF. But that was more of a pain in the neck than I wanted it to be. But it did give me the whole knowledge base as a text, and so I could just take it and print it from there. But here it is, the workflow behavior. bing, bang, boom. It just gave it to me. So I would print that and upload it into the GPT right here. S So it's in there. So there's the workflow. And it just did all of it. The premium program, the story banks, the decision acceleration workflow, and what I mean by that is sometimes I get like I said, I get like a dog with a bone, and I don't wanna let go of a certain thing, but sooner or later, sooner good enough is good enough, and I wanted to make sure that we moved on, and that's kinda almost to the point where we're getting with this video. I mean, how long have we been recording here? This one's 30 minutes, but you'll be able to use this. If you download the transcript and upload it, you'll be able to get the outline of exactly what you'll need. Tell Chat GPT to transcribe it or give you the Cliff Notes version, and you can do it yourself too, or just do this step by step. And and so here's the outflow. And I said, all right, GPT instructions cannot be longer than 8,000 characters. And it should have known that, but it didn't. So it, it parsed it down and it gave me the official instruction. So, here's the copy paste and this constraints, and then you just paste it into the instructions. Boom. On deleting that. So there's step two. Oh, we already did that, the workflow, but we're getting to the end here. I'm just going to kind of start skipping along down here. Oh, and so one of the things too is that when you're done with it, it's going to say, all right, how do you want to start? So you want to give it some, some prompts. What do you want to work on first? YouTube video? What steps should we tackle today? Content creation? So it's going to give you one of the two starter prompts. Um, there they are. You would just type those into, if I go back, just so that you can see it. And that's right here, recommended. So you're going to have your recommended model. Conversation starts. Here's the conversation start. It's kind of dark, but I like I like being able to see whenever I'm done looking at my computer screen. So I keep everything on a dark mode. So there's the starters. Uh, and then I was a little confused in how it actually worked, but then I hit publish, and then it just created it. And so whenever I was done, I was like, okay, is this really the best tool for it? So what I did is started to test it. And what I found was that Chat GPT, like I said, was a little limiting. And I wanted to be I wanted it to be more flexible. But at the end of the day, this was done, and it gives me a Chat GPT to keep me focused. And there's a couple other things here too that I kind of have to fall back on, um, and it'll give me the things that a, a starter for it. But I wanted it to be a little bit more thorough. So what I ended up doing was went over to Claude and I gave it the same instructions and said, "Hey, dude, why don't we just build it here? Give me the exact same instructions." And what I can do is I can access your entire document library within Google Documents, within Google Drive, so that anytime you update them, I have access to them, and you're not having to copy and paste and redo the PDFs. And so what I ended up doing was creating that. Well, I'm not quite done yet, but what I'll have finished is this GPT in Claude. So most of my time is going to be spent in Claude. Chat GPT gets a little squirrely if I'm being honest. And it starts getting too generalized, but for the time being, this is where we are. And but at the same time, it's all about creating leverage, right? This could be good enough if I wanted to just cut it loose because it's going to expand on itself. The more information that I give it, the more constraints I give it, the more clear it's going to be, and the more uh, accurate the outputs are going to be. But like I said, I think Claude has a little bit more intuitiveness built into it already. So that's the one I'm going to use. And I'm going to use Chat GPT for a couple other things. So like I said, it's all about creating assets. So if you wanted to get an idea and have this kind of thing work for you, join me in the Time Isn't Money Challenge. We're going to cover more of things like using AI to help you get focused, clear the clutter out of your mind, get rid of the overwhelm, have things step by step, give you a clear offer, give you a clear outputs, give you clear outcomes from your offers and clear direction on where you need to move and what you need to do next. We're going to cover all that in the Time Isn't Money Challenge. Click the link. It's davidbridgejr.com. Love to have you. Love to see you. If this video served you and helped you become more of a person with a singular focus and not one of a dual mind like in James 1:8, then give me a comment, give it a like, and hope to see you in the next video. I'm David Bridge Jr. See you then.